Ron Cephas Jones, you had such a great first season on This Is Us as William Hill. Did you consider leaving the character be and not returning for the second season?
Oh man, that was always the hope that I could stay on with this project because it's such a wonderful project, especially after the first season. The fear was that when the character was died off, that they would stop writing for him. But fortunately, the way the show is set up and the way the writing is and the format of the show, and anybody who passes away can always be like in another way by flashbacks and things like that, i.e., the character of Jack, who has been missing, had passed away early on. People knew that, but then you got a chance to see his full life and still continue to. So yeah, that was always the hope that I could stay with this project.
So they kept you on as a regular for the second season, but we only saw you kind of in a few flashbacks in a few episodes. Do you know if they meant to use you more originally?
I don't know. That's one of those things that's really about a writer's thing. Have a whole thing with a room there with all these wonderful writers, of course, Dan Fogelman leading the charge. So I didn't really know. I only hoped for the best, even though I didn't get seen a lot in season 2, the quality of the work that was there was what impressed me, even if it was for maybe 4 to 5 episodes only last season that you saw me, the quality of the episodes is what's more important, and so I think that's what's helping to bring my character back in season 3.
And did they give you a heads up like, hey, Ron, we're not going to need you for the next 4 episodes, take a vacation? Well,
no, it's kind of like you get an idea about how many episodes. You don't know what episodes they are going to be, together. So, right off the jump, they say, well, we're going to use you for 6 of these episodes in this season, but you don't know what 6. Could be, the first 6, it could be spread out over the episodes. And so I think that's how they try to do it in the way that you can anticipate the character coming back, So they create a story, I guess, so that you can anticipate what's going to happen at the next round. So that's how it usually goes, yeah.
So you're on your second Emmy nomination here for this role. This year you're nominated in the guest category, and you're technically nominated for the season premiere. What was it about your scene in the season premiere that resonated with you, and why did you submit it over your other work this season?
Well, I don't know. It's like I think a lot had to do with season 1 too. So I'm not sure. It was a beautiful monologue. I gave it in a way that William had already been established. So I think that was a big part of it too. Some of the stuff that was recognized in season 1 also came back in season 2. And that was one of the highlights of that season 2 was that first monologue, in the early pilots episode. So I'm just overjoyed and happy that the work is being acknowledged. The rest of the stuff I don't have any control over, so I try to put in the work and let it go after that, and everything else byproduct of that. So I'm honored and humbled, by the acknowledgement, and will continue to try to do this role to the best of my ability.
You're nominated with 3 of your co-stars, but 2 of them, Gerald McRaney and Milo Ventimiglia, we never actually see you with really on screen. What's it like having such a cast where you don't necessarily see everybody?
Well, I do get to see everybody, but not on screen, so yeah. I get to see everybody behind the scenes, especially Milo. He's always around, as we call him, Papa Bear, so he makes his presence known. I don't see Gerald much at all, because we're both kind of recurring at the moment. So we don't have scenes together. So I don't see him unless it's at some of the award ceremony or some of the other ceremonies and events that happen. We may run into each other. So, but the funny thing is, I feel like when I do see him, it feels like we were just talking yesterday, so we're that familiar with each other's work and so respectful of one another. So it always feels like we've been hanging out all the time, so whenever I do get a chance to see him, which I'm looking forward to with the upcoming events that are coming during the Emmy season. So yeah, that's kind of how it is,
I'd say most of your scenes on the show are with Sterling K. Brown and Susan Kelechi Watson. I think we all know, we've all heard how great Sterling K. Brown is. He's picked up many awards. What distinguishes Susan Kelechi Watson as an actor?
I think it's very similar to Sterling. For me, it's the familiarity of coming from New York. Susan and I have a lot of familiar friends and very much of quite a few circles, as well as Sterling. So coming from New York, there's a just tight-knit group of actors that kind of go around in the same circles. And so I knew Susan from the circles of New York, and the type and the way that she works inside out. So and being a part of the Pearson family, of course, I would be around those two quite a bit in my in William's journey throughout the show. So working with Susan is very much like working with Sterling. They're both stellar actors. So when you have actors of that caliber, you have nothing to do but raise the bar and be present. And she's that type of actor too, and I'm hoping that she starts to get some of the attention that she deserves in that role, because she's magnificent in it.
William is favorably portrayed by Jamel AKAJamal. I'm not sure how to say that. Do you give him any tips about how to play William as a younger version?
Jamel is wonderful, man. When we first met each other, it was uncanny because he looked so much like me, the same body structure. And I think his thing was just kind of watching William, and his mannerisms and his vocal tonality and matching that. I think that's what his homework would be. That question would probably be more for him than it would be for me. I don't think I would have intruded on his space and tried to give him any kind of tips on how to be William. I think that I respect him as enough of an actor to know that he has his process and the ways about doing it, and he did a more than fine job of it, man. He has a sound that's almost specific to how my William sounds also, and so matching that, he did a magnificent job.
How did the second season change your perception of William?
Not much, everything that William had done had already been laid down in season 1, and then he passed away. So it's just more about continuing to be who William was, So it really wasn't about the scene, it was about the only fact that you knew that he had passed away. But other than that, it's like when I'm doing the scene, it's before I passed away. So it's not really like my consciousness feels like I've gone anywhere. Only the audience knows that. The character who's playing it doesn't. He's present. And so William is present. So he hasn't really passed away, even though, like I said, the audience knows that he does. But when you see him again in that scene, he doesn't go, "Oh, I'm passed away, but I'm coming back to say this." It's he's very present. So it didn't change much at all, my perception at all.
So season 3 is shooting now. There's a widely shared photo released by Dan Fogelman of you holding a baby. And we know you're back in a guest capacity. What can you tell us about your role in the 3rd season?
I'm laughing because I can tell you nothing. Literally, seriously, that's so funny, because that's just like Dan to drop a photograph like that and then just kind of leave everything out there for everybody to kind of banter, who the baby is and where the babies come from and who could it be. So I can't address anything like that. I just know that the writing is going to be even better, if not equivalent to what it's been. I show up and continue to be William and fill in those spaces of William's life that we missed in season 1 and season 2. I can't say anything about the baby at this point, without spilling anything or being a spoiler, but I do know that season 3 is going to be wonderful, man. And it's just nice to be able to see some of William's story continue to open for the audience. And so many people have been wanting to see more of some of the gaps that were left open during season 1 and season 2. And hopefully they're going to fill some of those gaps. But I honestly couldn't tell you how or how much, because I don't know or even know as the actor. I get the scenes and the episodes pretty much as they come, at the most 2 weeks before we start to shoot it. Sometimes even only a week before we start to shoot it, you know. So I've done 3 episodes so far, and all of them have been wonderful, with some really good, juicy stuff in there. So anticipation that to continue until the season starts.
Maybe not plot points, but what about, how would you say the tone of the third season is? Is it very similar? Is it more dour?
No, it's going to be different. I mean, it's just little shockers, little things that pop up that you go, oh, you don't know. Like, it's like direction. Each season is like, what direction is the writing? Is it going to go toward Milo and Mandy? Is it going to go toward Chrissy and Chris? Is it going to veer toward Justin? But I know that one of the twists that's opened up is that we'll see Milo's brother, which is going to open up a whole nother family line. And so between that family line and the Pearson's family line, so many directions are going to happen. And I don't know how that's going to happen either at this point. You know what I mean? I think those cats would probably know more than I would, you know. But I do know that it's going to take so many different twists and turns and have so many surprises in it, because that's what Dan does so brilliantly.
Called Are You Sleeping, which is, I think, will be highly anticipated. What's your role in that one?
I also play another father figure. I play Shreve Schofield, his name is, and he's the head of a motorcycle club out of Oakland. He's a much darker character than William is. And Octavia Spencer plays my daughter, and she's the lead in it. Michael Beach is involved in it. Macau Pfeiffer, Tracy Tom, Tammy. I mean, it's another one of those situations that I've been blessed with, to have such an incredible cast, and in writing and production companies with Apple TV, which is going to be new to the game. And I know Oprah Winfrey is developing some things for that particular channel also. So the quality is there. And again, it's a blessing to be a part of this project. But to answer your question quickly, yeah, I play a head of a motorcycle club, and old school type character who is sort of like a gauge between my daughter's professional life and her family life. So much anticipated. Look forward to that the audience seeing this particular series. It's going to be really good. Yeah, I'm very excited and proud to be a part of it.
And how did you get that role?
I got a call, you know, and some interest. They had interest from, you know, the work that I did in This Is Us, and so I met with the people there, and everything worked out well. And so they wanted me to be a part of that project. And so again, I was honored, flattered, and humbled by the offer. Yeah.
I feel like we're seeing you kind of more than ever these days. You're on these 2 shows, and you're recurring on Mr. Robot previously, and you're on Luke Cage. Did you plan at all for this to be a big time in your career, or is it just kind of just happens?
No, it's just the way things happen. You know, that's why I always tell people, just continue to persevere and stay in the moment and focus on the work. I'm here based on my work, to be honest with you. You know, I just kept my head down and stayed in the grind. And with the advent of cable, when I first started coming around, the only game in town was ABC, NBC, and CBS, you know, and then, you know, TBS and TNT started to have a little more interesting content. With the advent of cable, HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, developing projects where they didn't need quote unquote stars, but just really good actors to fill these particular roles. So that was a lot of it. Being able to get some TV exposure through these particular shows that were happening. So the broadening, how things just broadened with the advent of cable, and all these new channels that were putting together really good, heavy quality content gave me an opportunity to step in and take my theater work and bring it into television and film on a smaller scale. And then as that happened and getting the attention from that, I was able to get looks into the more broader based stuff, i.e. NBC with This Is Us, you know, so it's rare. So I attribute that to just keeping my nose to the grind and continue to do the best work that I know how and continue to grow as an actor. And eventually the work begets the work, you know, and the quality rises to the top eventually. It takes a while, but, you know, eventually these shows, that's what they're looking for, quality actors to bring to life these very layered characters that you couldn't have on regular television before, because either because of the language or the audience wasn't ready. But now with cable, you know, audiences are ready for anything, because reality is that we see it all anyway. So now writers can write about this stuff that you couldn't write about, you know. So the issues that we touch on in This Is Us, you couldn't touch on those things 10 years ago. It's too deep for the, at least that's what the producers felt. So as soon as people started doing it, they realized it was the other way around. The audiences were longing and craving for deeper content instead of this certain stuff that happens a lot on television. So yeah, I think that's what it was, man.
Yeah, fascinating. Ron, thanks so much for chatting, and congratulations on your consecutive Emmy nomination.
Thank you so much, son. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys too. So kudos to Gold Derby, man. You guys are doing a great service to us. So thank you.